Your body is not waiting for next month, next year, or the perfect moment. It is responding right now to every decision you make, quietly rewriting its future based on what you do today. When you choose movement over delay, effort over comfort, the body listens. It adapts. It remembers. Starting the gym today is not about building muscle for the mirror. It is about signaling to your biology that life is worth investing energy in. The human body is not a passive structure that waits for instructions from the outside world. It is an active, responsive system that constantly reads signals and adjusts itself in real time. Every breath you take, every step you walk, every moment you choose to sit or move sends information deep into your cells. Movement is one of the most powerful signals you can send because it speaks the native language of biology. When you begin to move your body with intention, especially in a structured environment like a gym, you are not simply burning calories or contracting muscles. You are triggering a cascade of adaptive responses that influence how your body functions, repairs itself, and prepares for the future. This adaptability is not a modern invention. It is an ancient survival mechanism shaped by evolution, designed to help humans endure changing environments and physical demands. At the cellular level, the body is in a constant state of negotiation between efficiency and readiness. If a muscle is rarely used, the body interprets that inactivity as a signal that the tissue is unnecessary, and it slowly reduces its size and strength to conserve energy. On the other hand, when that same muscle is challenged through resistance or repeated effort, the body receives a clear message that this tissue is essential for survival. In response, it increases protein synthesis, strengthens connective tissue, and improves communication between nerves and muscle fibers. This process does not wait for months to begin. It starts almost immediately after the stimulus is applied. The body listens quickly, adapts quietly, and rewards consistency with strength and resilience. This responsiveness extends far beyond muscles. The cardiovascular system adapts to movement by becoming more efficient at delivering oxygen and nutrients. When you engage in regular physical activity, your heart learns to pump more blood with each beat. Your blood vessels become more flexible, and your tissues become better at extracting oxygen from circulation. These changes reduce strain on the heart at rest and improve endurance during activity. What is remarkable is that the body does not distinguish between movement done for survival and movement done for self-improvement. From a biological perspective, lifting weights or running on a treadmill is interpreted as preparation for future challenges, and the body adapts accordingly. The nervous system plays a central role in this adaptive process. Movement requires coordination, balance, and precise timing, all of which are governed by neural pathways. When you start training your body, the brain increases its engagement with the muscles, refining motor patterns and improving efficiency. This is why beginners often experience rapid improvements in strength even before significant muscle growth occurs. The brain is learning how to use existing resources more effectively. Over time, this enhanced neural connection not only improves physical performance, but also sharpens mental focus and body awareness. The act of moving with intention trains the brain to pay attention, to regulate effort, and to respond rather than react. Adaptation also influences metabolism in profound ways. Physical activity increases the body's sensitivity to insulin, allowing cells to use glucose more efficiently for energy rather than storing it as fat. This shift improves energy levels and reduces the long-term strain on metabolic systems. The body becomes better at switching between fuel sources, using carbohydrates when intensity is high and fats when activity is steady. This metabolic flexibility is a hallmark of a healthy organism, and it is cultivated through regular movement. The gym, in this sense, becomes a place where you teach your body how to manage energy intelligently rather than wastefully. There is also a subtle but powerful interaction between movement and the immune system. Moderate, consistent exercise has been shown to enhance immune surveillance, improving the body's ability to detect and respond to potential threats. This does not happen through force or exhaustion, but through regular stimulation that keeps systems alert without overwhelming them. The body interprets movement as a sign of vitality, and it allocates resources accordingly, prioritizing repair, maintenance, and defense. In contrast, prolonged inactivity can lead to chronic low-grade inflammation, a state where the immune system is constantly activated without clear purpose, gradually wearing down tissues and increasing the risk of disease. Hormonal responses further illustrate the body's adaptability. Physical activity influences the release of hormones that regulate stress, growth, mood, and appetite. When you move, especially under controlled stress like resistance training, the body releases growth-related hormones that support tissue repair and regeneration. Stress hormones, when elevated briefly through exercise, teach the body how to handle pressure more efficiently. Over time, this leads to a calmer baseline state, where everyday challenges feel more manageable. The body learns that stress can be temporary, purposeful, and productive rather than overwhelming. What makes this adaptive system extraordinary is its honesty. The body does not respond to intentions, plans, or promises. It responds only to action. This is why starting the gym today has immediate value, regardless of past inactivity or future uncertainty. The moment you move, your body begins to adjust its priorities. Blood flow shifts, neural circuits activate, metabolic pathways engage, and a complex internal conversation begins. You do not need to understand every mechanism for them to work. Biology does not require belief. It requires stimulus. This adaptability also carries a psychological dimension. When the body adapts positively to movement, the mind begins to reinterpret effort. Discomfort becomes information rather than threat. Fatigue becomes a signal to rest and recover, not a reason to quit entirely. Through repeated exposure to manageable physical challenges, the brain learns that change is possible and that effort leads to improvement. This understanding can quietly reshape self-perception. You stop seeing your body as fragile or fixed and start experiencing it as responsive and capable. The gym is often misunderstood as a place of extremes, but at its core, it is a controlled environment for experimentation with effort. You apply stress in measured doses and observe how your body responds. You adjust, recover, and try again. This cycle mirrors the fundamental principle of adaptation that governs all living systems. Growth does not come from comfort, nor does it come from chaos. It emerges from the balance between challenge and recovery, between stimulus and response. When you recognize that your body is always listening, always adapting, the decision to start moving today becomes less about motivation and more about communication. You are telling your body that it is needed, that it should prepare for strength, endurance, and resilience. You are engaging in a dialogue that continues long after the workout ends. Muscles rebuild while you rest, neural pathways refine while you sleep, and metabolic systems recalibrate as you go about your day. The effects of movement extend into every corner of your physiology, shaping how you feel, think, and function. This understanding invites a shift in perspective. Exercise is no longer a punishment for indulgence or a chore to be endured. It becomes a form of participation in your own biology. You are not fighting aging, weakness, or limitation. You are guiding adaptation. Each session, no matter how small, contributes to a cumulative message that influences who you become over time. The body responds faithfully, not with judgment, but with adjustment, honoring the signals it receives and building itself around them. Exercise is often spoken about in terms of appearance or performance, but its most profound impact occurs beneath the surface, where muscles, brain, and emotional systems respond together as one integrated network. When you place your body under intentional physical effort, you are not isolating a single system. You are engaging a conversation between tissues, neurons, and chemistry that defines how you experience strength, clarity, and emotional stability. The body does not separate physical resilience from mental resilience. From a biological perspective, they are deeply intertwined, shaped by the same signals and stressors, responding in parallel to the demands you place upon them. When muscles contract against resistance, the immediate goal seems mechanical, to lift, push, or pull. Yet behind that visible action, the nervous system is working intensely. The brain must recruit motor units, coordinate timing, regulate force, and maintain balance. Each repetition refines communication between the brain and the body. Over time, neural pathways become more efficient, requiring less conscious effort to produce the same movement. This efficiency is not limited to physical tasks. The brain, trained to repeated controlled stress, becomes better at filtering noise, sustaining focus, and managing effort. This is one reason why people often report improved concentration and mental clarity after consistent exercise, even when their training is purely physical in nature. The brain also responds chemically to physical effort. Movement stimulates the release of neurotransmitters associated with motivation, mood regulation, and reward. These chemical shifts are not artificial highs. They are part of the brain's natural response to effort that signals survival value. From an evolutionary standpoint, physical exertion often preceded meaningful outcomes, such as finding food, building shelter, or protecting others. The brain learned to associate movement with purpose. When you exercise today, that ancient wiring activates, reinforcing a sense of agency and engagement with life. This biochemical response helps explain why exercise can reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression, not by erasing problems, but by strengthening the brain's ability to regulate emotional intensity. Muscle tissue itself is not passive in this process. Muscles function as endocrine organs, releasing signaling molecules during contraction that influence the brain and other organs. These signals support brain health, promote neural growth, and enhance communication between cells. In this way, strengthening your muscles contributes directly to cognitive resilience. The body does not treat muscle growth as a cosmetic upgrade. It treats it as an investment in overall system capacity. Stronger muscles improve posture, stability, and movement efficiency, reducing chronic strain that can quietly drain mental energy over time. Emotional resilience develops through a similar mechanism. Physical training introduces controlled adversity. The weight feels heavy, the breath shortens, the muscles burn. Yet the environment is safe, the stress is temporary, and recovery follows. The nervous system learns an important lesson through repetition. Discomfort does not equal danger. This recalibration has wide-reaching effects. When emotional stress arises outside the gym, the body is less likely to overreact. Heart rate stabilizes more quickly, breathing remains more controlled, and the mind is better able to observe rather than panic. Exercise becomes a form of emotional education, teaching the body how to experience intensity without being overwhelmed. There is also a shift in self-perception that emerges through consistent effort. Each completed session provides evidence that effort leads to capability. This evidence is stored not only as memory, but as embodied experience. You feel stronger, steadier, more grounded. The brain updates its internal model of who you are and what you can handle. Confidence grows not from positive thinking, but from repeated proof. This type of confidence is quiet and durable, rooted in action rather than affirmation. It influences how you approach challenges, how you speak to yourself during difficulty, and how you recover from setbacks. The regulation of stress hormones further illustrates the dual impact of exercise. Physical training temporarily elevates stress markers, but with regular exposure, the body becomes more efficient at returning to baseline. This adaptability improves overall stress tolerance. Daily pressures that once felt overwhelming begin to feel manageable. The emotional system becomes less reactive, not because life becomes easier, but because your internal capacity has expanded. Exercise does not remove stress from your life. It trains you to carry it with greater stability. Sleep quality often improves as a result of this integrated adaptation. Physical effort increases the body's need for recovery, deepening sleep cycles and enhancing restorative processes. Improved sleep supports memory consolidation, emotional regulation, and hormonal balance. This creates a reinforcing loop where better rest enhances both physical performance and mental resilience. Over time, energy levels stabilize, mood fluctuations soften, and the baseline experience of daily life becomes more balanced. What is important to understand is that none of these changes require extreme training or perfect consistency. The systems involved respond to regular signals, not heroic efforts. Even moderate exercise, performed consistently, is enough to engage these adaptive processes. The body values reliability over intensity. Each session reinforces a message that effort is part of your routine, not an exception. This steady signaling allows muscles to strengthen, neural pathways to refine, and emotional regulation to improve without unnecessary strain. The gym, in this context, becomes more than a physical space. It becomes a training ground for integrated resilience. You are practicing how to focus under pressure, how to breathe through discomfort, how to persist when effort feels difficult but not impossible. These lessons transfer seamlessly into daily life. Conversations become calmer, decisions become clearer, and setbacks feel less personal. The body and brain operate with greater coherence, supporting each other rather than competing for resources. Exercise also fosters a sense of presence. Movement demands attention to posture, breath, and sensation. This pulls awareness out of rumination and into the present moment. Over time, this embodied awareness can reduce mental noise and improve emotional balance. You become more attuned to your internal state, better able to recognize early signs of fatigue or stress, and more capable of responding with care rather than neglect. When physical effort strengthens muscles, it simultaneously teaches the brain efficiency and emotional system stability. These changes accumulate quietly, reshaping how you move through the world. The transformation is not dramatic in any single moment, but it is profound over time. Strength grows not just in the limbs, but in attention, patience, and emotional steadiness. The body learns, the brain adapts, and resilience becomes a lived experience rather than an abstract idea. When you move your body with consistency and intention, you begin to change the internal conditions under which every cell operates. Exercise is not an external intervention imposed on the body. It is an internal recalibration that influences how energy is produced, how hormones communicate, and how systems find balance. The body is constantly managing countless variables at once, adjusting temperature, blood chemistry, nutrient availability, and stress signals. Physical activity acts as a unifying stimulus that brings these variables into a more coherent rhythm, allowing the body to function with less friction and greater efficiency. One of the most significant shifts occurs in how the body handles energy. Every movement requires fuel, and the body adapts by improving its ability to store, release, and use that fuel wisely. Regular exercise enhances the sensitivity of cells to insulin, meaning glucose can move from the bloodstream into tissues more effectively. This reduces energy crashes and prevents excessive storage of unused fuel. Instead of fluctuating between spikes and drops, energy availability becomes more stable throughout the day. This stability is not felt as excitement or intensity, but as a quiet sense of sustained vitality that supports both physical and mental tasks. Hormonal balance is deeply influenced by this improved energy regulation. Hormones act as messengers, coordinating activity between distant organs. When physical activity becomes a regular part of life, these messages become clearer and more reliable. Stress hormones, for example, are designed to mobilize energy during challenge. Exercise provides a structured outlet for this response, allowing the body to practice activating and deactivating stress pathways efficiently. Over time, baseline stress hormone levels often decrease, leading to a calmer internal environment where the body is less likely to remain in a constant state of alert. At the same time, hormones associated with growth and repair are stimulated. These signals support tissue maintenance, bone density, and cellular renewal. They also influence mood and cognitive function, contributing to a sense of well-being that feels grounded rather than euphoric. This balance between activation and recovery is essential. Without regular movement, stress signals can accumulate without resolution. With movement, the body learns how to engage fully and then return to equilibrium. Inflammation provides another lens through which to understand this recalibration. Acute inflammation is a necessary part of healing and adaptation, but chronic low-level inflammation places a continuous burden on the body. Sedentary habits often contribute to this silent strain. Exercise, when performed consistently and without excess, helps regulate inflammatory responses. Muscles release signaling molecules that encourage anti-inflammatory pathways, supporting tissue health and reducing unnecessary immune activation. This shift can influence joint comfort, cardiovascular health, and overall resilience to illness. The cardiovascular system also benefits from this internal realignment. Movement challenges the heart and blood vessels, prompting adaptations that improve circulation and oxygen delivery. Blood pressure regulation becomes more efficient, and tissues receive a steadier supply of nutrients. These changes reduce the workload placed on the heart during rest and daily activities. Over time, this efficiency contributes to endurance and reduces fatigue, allowing the body to allocate energy to growth and repair rather than constant compensation. Metabolic flexibility emerges as a central outcome of these adaptations. A flexible metabolism can switch between fuel sources depending on demand, using carbohydrates for quick energy and fats for sustained effort. This flexibility is a sign of metabolic health, reflecting a system that responds to need rather than habit. Exercise trains this adaptability by creating varied energy demands. The body learns to mobilize stored resources and to replenish them efficiently, reducing dependence on frequent external intake and improving overall energy balance. Sleep quality often improves as these systems align. Physical activity increases the drive for deep restorative sleep, during which hormonal regulation and tissue repair occur. Improved sleep further supports metabolic health and emotional regulation, creating a reinforcing cycle. Better rest enhances daytime energy, which in turn makes movement feel more accessible. This feedback loop gradually stabilizes the internal environment, allowing the body to operate with greater harmony. Digestive function is also influenced by regular movement. Physical activity supports healthy circulation to the digestive organs and encourages rhythmic contractions that aid nutrient absorption. Hormonal signals that regulate appetite become more responsive, helping align hunger with true energy needs. Over time, this can reduce tendencies toward overeating or irregular eating patterns, not through restriction, but through improved internal signaling. What makes these changes meaningful is their subtlety. The body does not announce hormonal balance or metabolic efficiency with dramatic sensations. Instead, it expresses them through steadiness. Energy becomes more predictable. Mood becomes less volatile. Recovery from stress becomes faster. These are signs of a system operating within a healthier range, supported by regular movement. Exercise also influences how the body perceives itself. Internal signals become clearer, allowing better awareness of fatigue, hunger, and stress. This awareness supports more informed choices, reinforcing balance rather than extremes. The body becomes less reactive and more responsive, adjusting to demands without excessive strain. The gym, in this context, is not a place of external transformation, but a space where internal order is cultivated. Each session provides a controlled challenge that prompts adaptation without chaos. The body learns to regulate itself through experience rather than instruction. Hormones align, energy pathways optimize, and internal rhythms synchronize around movement. Over time, these physiological shifts extend into daily life. Tasks feel less draining. Recovery from exertion becomes quicker. The body maintains equilibrium with less conscious effort. This is not the result of a single workout or a short-term program, but a consistent relationship with movement that teaches the body how to balance itself from within. Exercise becomes a stabilizing force, not by forcing control, but by allowing the body to express its inherent capacity for regulation and efficiency.